If you've ever wondered what happens when a powerful man stops trusting everyone, including the one person who might be telling the truth, this story will break you. A billionaire secretly tests his new maid to protect his son, but in the middle of a terrifying emergency, she reacts like she's done it before. And when he checks the cameras, he realizes something impossible. Because she didn't just save his child, she knew his child. Stay with me, because the truth he uncovers next will expose a 7-year lie, and the enemy is closer than anyone thinks. The billionaire stared at the CCTV wall like it was the only thing holding his life together. 16 screens. 16 angles of his mansion. Hallways. Doors. Staircases. The kitchen. The back garden. And one camera he checked more than all the others, his son's room. Because if anything happened to his son, he would never survive it. That night, the mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Then the audio feed crackled. A small voice, thin, shaky, whispered into the microphone. "Dad, I can't breathe." The billionaire's heart slammed against his ribs. On the screen, his 7-year-old son, Noah, sat on the floor beside his bed. His face was turning red. His eyes were wide, scared, watery. He clawed at his throat like he was trying to pull air out of the air. An allergy attack. The billionaire sprang up from his chair so fast it almost fell over. "Noah!" he shouted, even though Noah couldn't hear him through the camera. His fingers shook as he grabbed his phone. But before he could dial, someone burst into the frame. The new maid. She moved like lightning. No panic. No screaming. No confusion. Just speed, focus, and something else, something terrifyingly personal. She dropped to her knees beside Noah, tilted his chin, checked his lips, and reached behind the bedside table. Not the top drawer. Not the shelf everyone knew. She pressed her fingers under the wood panel and clicked a hidden latch. A small compartment opened. Inside it was the emergency epinephrine pen, the one Noah's doctor insisted must always be nearby, the one only the billionaire knew about. The maid grabbed it, pulled off the cap, and pressed it into Noah's thigh. Steady, practiced, like she'd done it before. Noah gasped. His shoulders loosened. His breathing started to return. The maid's face didn't relax, though. Her eyes stayed locked on Noah like she was fighting time itself. And on the CCTV wall, the billionaire froze. Because there was only one other person on Earth who knew that pen was hidden there. Only one. And she had vanished years ago. The billionaire's lips parted, but no sound came out. His mind screamed the same question again and again. How did a poor maid know what only Noah's mother would know? 2 days earlier, Adrian Vale didn't trust people. Not after everything that had happened. Not after the lies, the betrayals, the smiling faces that hid knives. He didn't become a billionaire by being soft. He became a billionaire by seeing danger before it arrived. So when he stood at the top of his marble staircase and watched the new maid enter his home, he didn't see a woman who needed a job. He saw a question mark, a possible threat, a possible spy, a possible trap. The woman kept her head slightly down as the house manager led her into the grand foyer. She was slim, not too tall, maybe late 20s or early 30s. Brown skin, dark hair pulled into a neat bun, simple uniform that looked too clean for someone supposedly poor. But what Adrian noticed most was her eyes. They didn't wander. They didn't sparkle at the chandeliers. They didn't widen at the expensive art. Her eyes moved like someone who had trained herself not to react, like someone who had learned that reacting could get you hurt. The house manager smiled. "Mr. Vale, this is Lena, your new housekeeper." "Lena," Adrian repeated slowly. The woman finally lifted her gaze. And for half a second, just half, Adrian felt something punch him right in the chest. A flicker, a familiarity, like a scent you remember from a dream. Then it was gone. The woman's face stayed calm. "Good afternoon, sir," she said, voice soft, controlled. Adrian looked her up and down. "Where did you work before this?" She answered smoothly. "A hotel outside the city." "Which hotel?" "The Rivergate." Adrian nodded like he believed her, but he didn't, because he never believed anyone the first time. He nodded to the house manager. "Show her the rules. The cameras. The schedule." The manager hesitated. "The cameras, sir?" Adrian's eyes narrowed. Yes. Make sure she knows they're everywhere. The woman didn't flinch. That was the first thing that made Adrian uneasy. Most new staff reacted when they heard about cameras. Some looked nervous. Some looked offended. Lena only nodded, like cameras were normal. Like she expected them. Adrian forced his voice to stay cold. One more thing. My son doesn't like strangers. The woman's eyes softened for a blink, then she hit it again. I understand, she said. Adrian watched her for another second. Good, he said. Then stay away from him. Lena lowered her gaze. Yes, sir. Adrian turned and walked away, telling himself he felt nothing. But as he moved down the hallway, a thought followed him like a shadow. Why did her voice sound like a memory he'd been trying to bury? No avail. Noah didn't speak much. He wasn't rude. He wasn't wild. He was guarded, like a child who had learned too early that people could disappear. When Adrian came into Noah's room that night, Noah sat on the bed with a book open on his lap, but his eyes weren't reading. Adrian sat beside him. How was school? Noah shrugged. Adrian tried again. Did you eat? A small nod. Adrian's voice softened, but it still carried tiredness. You know you can talk to me. Noah's eyes flicked to the door, then back. He whispered, Is she going to leave too? Adrian's throat tightened. He knew exactly who Noah meant. The new maid. But the words leave too cut deeper than that. Because Noah wasn't talking about maids. He was talking about his mother. Adrian swallowed hard. No. She's just staff. Noah stared at him like he could see straight through lies. You said that about the last one. Noah whispered. Adrian forced a firm tone. This one will follow the rules. Noah's lips pressed together. He went back to his book, but the page didn't turn. Adrian stood to leave. Then Noah asked, almost too quietly to hear, Did you ever find her? Adrian froze. He didn't ask. Who? They both knew. Adrian stared at the wall, fighting the old pain that came like a storm. No, he said finally. Noah's voice cracked. Is she dead? Adrian's chest burned. He couldn't answer that, because the truth was he didn't know. And not knowing was the cruelest part. Adrian forced the words out. Go to sleep, Noah. Noah nodded, but his eyes stayed open, like sleep was something that didn't trust him either. Adrian left the room and shut the door. Outside, he stood still for a moment. Then he whispered into the empty hallway. I will protect you, even if it makes me the villain. And that was the promise that shaped everything that came next. Adrian's fortune wasn't just money. It was power, and power attracted people who wanted a piece of it. 2 months earlier, Adrian's private investigator brought him a file, thin but heavy with danger. There had been unusual messages, strange payments, a rumor that someone close to Adrian was planning to take Noah, not to harm him, to control him, because Noah wasn't only Adrian's son. Noah was the key to Adrian's legacy, the heir, the one name that could unlock trust funds and holdings. If Adrian died, Noah became the center of everything, and people fought for centers. That was why Adrian had cameras. That was why he tested staff. That was why he didn't relax. Because the day he relaxed was the day someone would win. So when Lena arrived, Adrian didn't just hire a maid. He hired a question, and he planned to answer it. The first test was simple. Adrian left a diamond bracelet on the bathroom counter. Not hidden, not locked, just sitting there like a dare. Then he watched the camera. Lena came in to clean. She saw it. Her eyes paused on the bracelet for less than 1 second. Then she did something Adrian didn't expect. She put on gloves. She lifted the bracelet carefully, like it could burn her, and she placed it into a velvet pouch. She wrote something on a small note. Then she walked straight to the house manager and handed it over. Adrian watched it all from his security room. He leaned back slowly, arms crossed. Good, he murmured. But then Lena said something to the manager that made Adrian lean forward again. I found this out in the open, Lena said quietly. Please remind everyone, small things can become big problems. The house manager laughed a little. Don't worry, Lena. Around here, nothing is small. Lena didn't smile. She just said, That's what scares me. Adrian stared at the screen. That wasn't a maid's normal response. That sounded like someone who had seen danger before. Someone who knew how fast a peaceful life could turn into chaos. Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Who are you, Lena?" The next morning, Adrian came into the kitchen earlier than usual. He wanted to watch her with his own eyes. Lena stood at the counter, slicing fruit. Not randomly. Not messy. Perfect slices. Measured. Consistent. Like she cared about details. Noah sat at the small breakfast table, quiet as always. Adrian expected Lena to ignore him, like he ordered. But something happened. Noah dropped a spoon. It hit the floor with a clatter that echoed. Noah didn't move. He just stared at the spoon like it was too heavy to pick up. Most adults would say, "Pick it up." Lena didn't. She crouched down, picked it up, and placed it gently beside Noah's plate. Then she said softly, almost like a secret, "It's okay. Things fall. We don't have to fall with them." Noah's eyes lifted. That was rare. He looked at her like he didn't understand why her voice felt safe. Then he whispered, "You talk like someone." Lena's hands paused. Just for a moment. Adrian caught it. Noah tilted his head. "Like my dreams." Lena swallowed, eyes fixed on the fruit. Then she forced a calm smile. "Eat your breakfast, Noah." Noah stared at her longer. Then he ate. Adrian felt his stomach twist. Because he saw what he had feared. Noah was already connecting to her. And if Lena was a threat, that connection was a door. After breakfast, Adrian called Lena into his office. She entered quietly and stood near the door. Adrian watched her carefully. "I told you to stay away from my son." Lena's eyes lowered. "I didn't approach him." He dropped his spoon. "That's not the point," Adrian snapped. Lena's jaw tightened. For the first time, her calm mask slipped a little. "Sir," she said, voice still respectful but firm. "A child is not a rule. He's a person." Adrian stared at her. Most staff didn't speak to him like that. Not in his home. Not with that kind of courage. Adrian stepped closer. "You're here to clean," he said. "Not to educate me." Lena's eyes lifted again. And this time, Adrian saw something in them that made his breath catch. Pain. Old pain. The kind that had nowhere to go. Then Lena nodded. "Yes, sir." And she walked out. Adrian stood in his office, angry and confused. Because he hated being challenged. But he hated even more that part of him respected her for it. That afternoon, Adrian's fiancée arrived. Her name was Vanessa Hart. Elegant. Smooth. Beautiful in a way that felt sharp. She kissed Adrian's cheek like a performance. Then she glanced around the mansion, like she owned it already. "You hired new staff," she said. Adrian's tone stayed cold. "Yes." Vanessa smiled. "Good. I've been meaning to talk to you about the house." Adrian didn't respond. Vanessa walked toward the stairs. "Where's Noah?" "In his room." Vanessa sighed dramatically. "Still hiding. Adrian, you baby him too much." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Don't talk about my son like that." Vanessa lifted her hands. "I'm only saying, he needs structure. He needs to move on." Move on. The words hit Adrian like a slap. As if a child could move on from a missing mother the way you move on from a broken toy. Adrian stepped closer, voice low. "Be careful." Vanessa smiled, but her eyes stayed cold. "I'm always careful, Adrian." Then she turned, and that's when she noticed Lena walking down the hallway carrying clean towels. Vanessa's eyes scanned Lena from head to toe. Something flashed across Vanessa's face. Not surprise. Not curiosity. Recognition. But Vanessa hit it fast. She walked past Lena with a smile too sweet to be real. "New maid?" Vanessa asked the house manager. "Yes, ma'am." Vanessa nodded. "Interesting choice." As Vanessa climbed the stairs, Lena kept walking, head down. But Adrian saw Lena's fingers tighten around the towels, like she was holding herself together. And Adrian saw something else. Lena avoided Vanessa's eyes like she was avoiding fire. Adrian's heartbeat slowed. A new thought formed in his head. What if Lena isn't afraid of me? What if she's afraid of Vanessa? That night, Adrian created another test. He didn't do it himself this time. He used someone else. He told his house manager to offer Lena extra money. A lot of extra money. In exchange for small things. Not illegal. Not obvious. Just information. Where Adrian kept his keys. What time Adrian left the house. Which rooms Noah used most. Anything. The house manager felt uncomfortable. Sir, why? Adrian's voice stayed flat. Because I said so. So the next morning, the house manager approached Lena in the laundry room. He offered her an envelope. Lena looked at it like it was poison. What is this? She asked. A gift, the manager said. For being helpful. Lena's brows pulled together. Helpful how? The manager lowered his voice. Just tell me things. Small things. You know. Schedules. Lena's face changed. The calm left. Her eyes sharpened. Who asked you to do this? She demanded. The manager hesitated. Lena stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. Who? The manager swallowed. I can't. Lena shoved the envelope back into his chest. Tell whoever is paying you, she said, that this house is full of eyes. She tapped the wall lightly. A camera. Then she leaned in and whispered, and if anyone is trying to hurt that child, they'll have to go through me. The manager's face went pale. Lena walked away with steady steps, but her hands were shaking. Adrian watched the entire thing from the security room. His mouth went dry. Because Lena didn't respond like a desperate worker. She responded like a guard. Like a mother. And when she said, they'll have to go through me, she sounded like she meant it. Adrian stared at the screen for a long time. Then he whispered, barely able to admit it. She's protecting him. But the question that followed was louder. Why? That evening, Noah sat on the living room rug, with his toy cars. Lena entered quietly to dust the shelves. Noah looked up. He watched her the way children watch people they don't understand, but want to. After a minute, Noah spoke. Do you know how to tie a tie? Lena froze. Adrian, sitting on the couch, looked up sharply. Noah continued, innocent and serious. My dad can do it, but he does it too tight. It hurts my neck. Adrian opened his mouth to say something, but Lena spoke first. Soft. Yes. Noah's eyes lit up. Really? Lena nodded. Noah stood and walked toward her, holding a small tie from a toy suit set he used for school events. Lena glanced at Adrian, like she was asking permission without words. Adrian's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Lena crouched. She took the tie. Her fingers moved fast, smooth, familiar, perfect. Noah smiled for the first time in days. There, Lena whispered, adjusting it gently. Not too tight. Noah touched it and giggled. Adrian felt something in his chest crack, because he had seen that exact movement before. Years ago, in a hospital room, a woman laughing softly as she tied a tiny tie on their newborn son for a photo. Adrian stood up so abruptly the couch creaked. Lena's head snapped toward him. For a second, her eyes looked terrified. Adrian's voice came out rough. Where did you learn to do that? Lena swallowed. I worked in hospitality. We had events. Adrian stepped closer, eyes locked on her face. No, he said. That's not it. Lena's breathing changed. Adrian felt it. The truth was close enough to touch. Then Vanessa's voice floated in from the doorway, smooth and sharp. What's going on here? Everyone turned. Vanessa stood there smiling. But her eyes weren't smiling. They were calculating. Lena stiffened. Noah instinctively moved closer to Lena's side. That tiny action, Noah choosing her for safety, made Vanessa's smile twitch. Vanessa walked into the room like a queen. How sweet, she said. The maid is playing mommy. Adrian's face darkened. Stop. Vanessa bent down to Noah. Come here, darling. Noah didn't move. Vanessa's eyes narrowed for half a second. Then she stood up again. She looked at Lena. You're getting too comfortable, Vanessa said politely. Lena's voice stayed calm. I'm just doing my job. Vanessa tilted her head. Your job is cleaning, not bonding. Adrian stepped between them. That's enough. Vanessa's smile returned. Of course. I'm only thinking about Noah. But as Vanessa turned away, she murmured something so quiet only Lena could hear. You should have stayed gone. Lena went pale. Adrian caught it. And in that instant, Adrian knew something for sure. Vanessa recognized her. That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He sat in his security room watching cameras, replaying moments over and over. Lena tying the tie. Lena protecting Noah. Vanessa's whisper. Noah choosing Lena. Adrian's hands clenched into fists. He didn't want to believe it, because if Lena was who his instincts were screaming she might be, then his whole life had been a lie for 7 years. He opened an old locked drawer and pulled out a folder. Inside was a photo. A woman with warm eyes and a gentle smile. Amara Vale. Noah's mother. Adrian's wife. The woman who disappeared without a trace. Adrian stared at the photo, then stared at the live camera feed of Lena walking down the hallway. The shape of her face. The way she held her shoulders. The way she moved like she was always ready to protect. Adrian's throat tightened. "It can't be," he whispered. But deep down, he knew the truth didn't care what he wanted. Adrian made a decision. He would do one final test. A crisis test. A test so intense, no liar could fake the reaction. A test that would prove everything. He picked up his phone and called his head of security. "Set it up," Adrian ordered. "Quietly. No one gets hurt, but it has to look real." The security chief hesitated. "Sir, what exactly are we doing?" Adrian's eyes stayed fixed on the camera feed. "A controlled emergency," he said. "Something that threatens my son." There was a pause. "Understood," the security chief said. Adrian ended the call. Then he looked at the cameras again. Lena entered Noah's room to tidy up. Noah was asleep, curled up with a stuffed bear. Lena stood at the edge of the bed and stared at him. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she reached out carefully, like she was afraid. Her fingers brushed Noah's hair back from his forehead. She whispered something. Adrian leaned closer to the audio feed. It was so soft he almost missed it. "I'm here," Lena whispered. "I'm here this time." Adrian's breath stopped. His heart pounded like it wanted out of his chest. Because Lena didn't whisper that like staff. She whispered it like a promise. Like a mother coming back from the dead. And Adrian realized, too late, what he had done. If Lena really was Amara, then this final test wasn't just a test. It was a weapon. And he was pointing it at the one person who might actually be able to save his son. That was how Adrian ended up in the security room that night. That was how the crisis test was already in motion. And that was how the CCTV audio suddenly crackled with Noah's shaking voice. "Dad, I can't breathe." Adrian shot up. On the screen, Noah's face was red, his breathing broken. And Lena didn't hesitate for even 1 second. She knew exactly what to do. She knew exactly where the hidden pen was. And as she saved Noah's life in front of Adrian's eyes, Adrian finally understood one terrifying truth. Either Lena had been watching his son like a mother, or she had always been his son's mother. And if that was true, then the next question was even darker. Who took her away the first time? And why were they still in this house? Adrian Vale didn't realize he was holding his breath until his chest started to hurt. On the CCTV wall, Noah's tiny body trembled as the medicine began to work. His eyes were still wet, still scared, but the panic in his face was fading. Lena kept one hand on Noah's shoulder and the other on his wrist, counting his pulse like she was listening to a song only she could hear. "Breathe with me," she whispered. "In and out, in and out." Noah tried, copying her. His breaths became slower, deeper. Adrian's throat tightened so hard it felt like he was swallowing stones. He grabbed his radio and barked into it. "Medical team to the child's room. Now." His security chief responded instantly. "Already en route, sir." Adrian sprinted out of the security room, his polished shoes slamming against the floor as he ran down the hallway. He didn't care about dignity. He didn't care about the staff seeing him lose control. All he cared about was getting to Noah. When he pushed open the bedroom door, he found Lena still kneeling beside the bed. Noah sat upright now, clutching his stuffed bear with both hands like it was an anchor. The on-call medic rushed in behind Adrian and knelt by Noah, checking him. Adrian moved closer. "Noah, talk to me." Noah's eyes landed on Adrian, still watery. "It hurts, but I can breathe now." Adrian exhaled shakily. "Good, good." The medic looked up. The injection was done correctly and quickly. That likely prevented this from getting worse. Adrian nodded, but his eyes were locked on Lena. She slowly stood up. Her hands were shaking, even though she had looked calm on camera. And that terrified Adrian more than anything, because it meant she wasn't calm. She had just forced herself to be, like someone who had been trained by pain. Adrian spoke softly, trying to keep his voice from cracking. "How did you know where the pen was hidden?" Lena stiffened. The room suddenly felt smaller. The medic glanced between them, sensing something personal. Lena kept her gaze down. "Sir, you told me your son has allergies. I assumed the pen would be nearby." "That's not what I asked." Adrian stepped closer. "You didn't look. You didn't search. You reached behind the table and opened a hidden latch." Noah looked at Lena. "You knew." Lena swallowed. Adrian's voice sharpened, not from anger, but from fear. "Who are you?" Silence. Then Lena's eyes lifted to his, and Adrian felt it again, that punch in the chest. Those eyes. They weren't just familiar. They were impossible. Lena's lips parted, like she wanted to speak. But the medic stood. "Mr. Vale, I need to take Noah downstairs for monitoring. We should watch him for a couple of hours." Adrian forced himself to nod. "Okay." Noah grabbed Lena's hand suddenly. Lena flinched like his touch was electricity. Noah looked up at her, trembling. "Don't go." Lena's face softened. "I'm not going anywhere." Adrian's jaw tightened, because he realized something he didn't want to admit. Noah trusted Lena right now more than he trusted anyone else in that room. Once Noah was settled in the downstairs medical room, Adrian walked Lena into his office and shut the door. No staff. No cameras inside. Adrian had one rule. His office was private. He turned, staring at Lena like she was a ghost that had walked into his life, wearing a uniform. He spoke quietly. "You saved my son's life." Lena nodded. "Yes. Thank you," Adrian said, and it came out like it cost him. Lena's mouth tightened. "I didn't do it for thanks." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Then why?" Lena hesitated, and in that hesitation, Adrian felt the truth hovering in the air, heavy and waiting. Adrian stepped closer. "I asked you a question in the room. How did you know where the pen was hidden?" Lena's breathing changed. Adrian watched her chest rise and fall faster. The mask was slipping again. "You're not just staff," Adrian said slowly. "You've been around my son before." Lena's voice turned hard. "No." Adrian held up a hand. "Don't lie to me in my own house." Lena's eyes flashed. "Then stop testing me in yours." That hit Adrian like a slap. He stared. "You know I tested you." Lena's mouth opened, then closed again. Adrian took another step. "So you're smart. You're aware. You're careful. You're protecting my son like—" He stopped himself. He couldn't say it. Lena whispered, "Like a mother." Adrian's blood ran cold. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. Lena looked down, shoulders trembling. "You don't want this conversation, Mr. Vale." Adrian's voice broke slightly. "Yes, I do." Lena shook her head. "No, you want control. You want a simple answer. This isn't simple." Adrian swallowed. "Say your real name." Lena's eyes closed for 1 second. When they opened, they were wet. "My name is Lena," she said. Adrian leaned forward, voice low and dangerous. "No, your real name." Lena's lips trembled. And then, a knock on the office door. Adrian snapped. "Not now." The door opened anyway. "Vanessa." She walked in like she owned the room. Her gaze landed on Lena first, and something sharp flickered in her eyes. Then Vanessa smiled at Adrian. "I heard Noah had an emergency. Is he okay?" Adrian's voice was flat. "He's stable." Vanessa put a hand to her chest dramatically. "Oh, thank goodness. I was so worried." Then she turned her smile toward Lena. "And you," Vanessa said sweetly. "You must feel so proud. Playing hero." Lena didn't respond. Vanessa stepped closer, still smiling. "But you know what I love about heroes? They always have secrets." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Vanessa." "Leave." Vanessa laughed softly. "Why? Are we interrupting something?" Adrian's tone sharpened. "Yes, you are." Vanessa's smile didn't move, but her eyes turned cold. Fine. She walked toward the door, then paused. Without looking back, she murmured, "Be careful, Adrian." Then she left. The door shut, and Lena exhaled like she had been holding her breath the whole time Vanessa was inside. Adrian noticed. He leaned forward. "You're afraid of her." Lena whispered, "You should be too." Adrian felt a chill crawl up his spine. "What do you mean?" Lena stared at him, eyes shining. "You think the danger is outside your house. It's not." Adrian's fists clenched. "Then where is it?" Lena's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's in your bed." Adrian froze. Adrian's mind raced. Vanessa, his fiancée, the woman he planned to marry, the woman he had invited into Noah's life. His voice turned sharp. "Explain." Lena shook her head, breathing fast. "You don't understand, Adrian." Adrian stiffened. He said slowly, dangerously, "What did you just call me?" Lena's face went pale. She hadn't meant to say it, but she had, and Adrian felt the world tilt. Only a few people called him Adrian without permission, and only one person had ever said his name with that exact softness. Amara. Adrian stepped closer. "Say it again." Lena backed up a step. I didn't." Adrian's voice trembled. "Lena, who are you?" Lena's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. She stared at him like she hated him for making her relive something. Then she whispered, "You don't get to ask me that after what you did." Adrian's face tightened. "After what I did?" Lena's voice cracked. "You let them take me." Adrian's stomach dropped. "What?" Lena turned away like she couldn't look at him. 7 years ago," Lena said, voice shaking. "I screamed for you. I begged you. But you were busy believing the wrong people." Adrian's vision blurred. He stumbled back half a step. This wasn't possible. This was... He opened his locked drawer and pulled out the photo of Amara. He held it up. Lena turned. Her body froze. The room went silent like even the air stopped. Lena stared at the photo for a long, long moment. Then her lips trembled, and she whispered, almost like a prayer, "That day, I wore that dress." Adrian's hand started shaking so badly the photo rattled. His voice came out broken. "Amara." Lena's eyes shut tight. A tear finally escaped, sliding down her cheek. She didn't answer with words. She answered by collapsing into the chair like the weight of 7 years just dropped on her at once. Adrian stood there, breathing hard, staring like the world had turned into a nightmare. "It can't be," Adrian whispered. "You're dead. They said you were." "They lied," Amara said softly. Her voice was different now. Not Lena. Amara. The voice of the woman Adrian used to hold at night. The voice he heard in his dreams. The voice Noah had never heard again. Adrian swallowed hard. "Where have you been?" Amara looked up, eyes full of pain and fire. "Alive." Adrian's face tightened. "Why didn't you come back?" Amara laughed, but it was not happy. "Come back? To who? To the man who believed them over me? To the man who let me disappear and then replaced me with a new woman?" Adrian's jaw clenched. "You don't understand." Amara snapped. "I understand everything." Her breathing became uneven. "I was taken, Adrian. Taken. Not I left. Not I ran away. Taken." Adrian's heart pounded. "Who?" Amara's eyes flickered toward the door. Then she whispered, "The same people who are still around you." Adrian's blood ran cold. "You mean?" Amara nodded once, and the name didn't even have to be said. "Vanessa." Adrian shook his head quickly, like he could shake the truth away. "No," he said. "Vanessa wasn't even in my life then." Amara's eyes sharpened. "You think Vanessa is new? You think she appeared out of nowhere?" Adrian stared, confused. Amara leaned forward, voice low. "Vanessa's family has been circling your money since before Noah was born." Adrian's throat tightened. "That's impossible." Amara's eyes filled again. "Adrian, you were never the only man with power. You were just the one they could control." Adrian felt dizzy. Amara continued, voice trembling but steady. "The day I disappeared, I was leaving the hospital with Noah. You were supposed to meet us." Adrian flinched. He remembered that day. He had been delayed by an emergency meeting. A contract problem. Something business-related. He remembered calling Amara and hearing her laugh. "I'll see you at home," she had said. Then the call ended, and she never came home. Adrian whispered, "I searched." Amara's voice cracked. "You searched with your eyes, but not with your heart." Adrian's face tightened in pain. Amara swallowed, forcing herself to keep talking. "They took me. I woke up in a room that smelled like bleach and fear. They threatened Noah's life if I ever tried to contact you." Adrian's fists clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. Amara looked down. "They made me sign papers. They forced me to record a voice message that made it sound like I was leaving. They wanted you to believe I abandoned you." Adrian's voice broke. "Why?" Amara whispered. "Because if you believed I left, you would stop looking." Adrian's eyes burned. Amara's voice turned sharp. "And because when you're broken, you're easier to control." Adrian took a shaky breath. "But how did Vanessa?" Amara cut him off. "I don't know if Vanessa planned it herself, but I know she knew, and I know she benefited." Adrian sat down slowly, like his legs couldn't hold him. Amara stared at him. "And now she's trying to take Noah." Adrian's head snapped up. "What?" Amara nodded, eyes filled with urgency. "That's why I came back." Adrian's breath caught. "You came back as a maid?" Amara gave a bitter smile. "It was the only way I could get close without them stopping me." Adrian felt his heart break and rebuild at the same time. He whispered, "Noah doesn't know." Amara's face twisted. "No, and you won't tell him until it's safe." Adrian swallowed. "Safe from what?" Amara's eyes turned dark. "From the person who made me disappear," she said, "and the person who will do it again if she realizes I'm here." Adrian leaned forward. "If this is true, we need proof." Amara nodded. "I have proof." Adrian's chest tightened. "Where?" Amara hesitated for 1 second. Then she whispered, "In a storage unit. Outside the city. I kept it hidden for years." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "What kind of proof?" Amara swallowed. "A file. Photos. Names. A recording." Adrian's heart pounded. "Why didn't you use it before?" Amara looked away. "Because I didn't think I would survive long enough to use it." Adrian stood up, suddenly full of energy, full of rage. "We're going. Now." Amara grabbed his wrist. "No." Adrian froze. Amara's voice was urgent. "You can't move like that. Not yet. They're watching you. They've always been watching you." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Who is they?" Amara whispered. "Not just Vanessa. There's someone else." Adrian stared. "Who?" Amara swallowed, and her voice became almost too soft to hear. "Someone inside your security team." Adrian felt like ice water poured into his veins. He whispered, "That's impossible." Amara shook her head. "That's why your tests didn't catch them. They know your systems. They know your habits." Adrian's jaw tightened. He turned toward the CCTV monitors on his wall, suddenly feeling sick, because those cameras that made him feel safe might have been the same cameras feeding information to the enemy. Adrian whispered, "Who?" Amara looked at him, tears in her eyes again. "I don't know yet," she said, "but I know one thing." Adrian leaned in. Amara's voice dropped. "They're going to make a move soon." Later that night, Amara returned to the staff quarters, wearing Lena again. Mask back on. Uniform straight. Face calm. Because survival demanded acting. Adrian watched her leave his office and felt like he was watching two realities collide. The woman he loved, the maid he hired, the mother of his son, all in one body. And now he had to pretend he didn't know. He had to smile at Vanessa, sleep beside her, pretend she wasn't poison. Adrian's stomach turned just thinking about it. He walked into his bedroom and found Vanessa sitting on the edge of the bed, applying lotion like a queen preparing for sleep. She looked up with a sweet smile. "How's Noah?" Adrian forced his face to stay calm. "Fine." Vanessa pouted. "I hate seeing him suffer." Adrian nodded, his jaw tight. Vanessa tapped the bed beside her. "Come here." Adrian sat, but his body felt tense like a coiled wire. Vanessa touched his arm. You know, Adrian, sometimes emergencies happen because people are careless. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Careless. Vanessa's smile was soft. Like leaving allergens around. Like hiring the wrong staff. Adrian stared at her. Vanessa leaned in closer, voice sweet. You should let me handle the staff decisions. You're too emotional when it comes to Noah. Adrian's stomach twisted. Vanessa continued like she was talking about grocery shopping, not a child's life. And that maid, Vanessa shrugged. She's getting too close. Adrian forced his voice to stay neutral. She saved Noah. Vanessa smiled. Exactly. That's how they earn trust. Adrian's chest tightened. Vanessa's eyes locked on his, and for a second the sweetness dropped. A cold warning flashed. Don't be naive, Vanessa whispered. People don't do things for free. Adrian stared at her, keeping his face blank, but inside his mind was screaming. Because Amara did it for free. Amara did it because she loved him. Loved Noah. And Vanessa's words suddenly sounded like a confession. Vanessa kissed Adrian's cheek lightly and smiled again. Get some rest. Adrian nodded. Vanessa turned off the bedside lamp. But in the darkness, Adrian's eyes stayed open. Because now he knew. He wasn't sleeping next to a fiancé. He was sleeping next to an enemy. The next morning, Adrian found Noah sitting quietly by the window in the medical room. Noah looked small. Fragile. Adrian sat beside him. How do you feel? Noah shrugged. Okay. Adrian nodded. You scared me. Noah looked down. I didn't mean to. Adrian's voice softened. I know. Noah hesitated, then whispered. Lena saved me. Adrian swallowed. Yes. Noah's eyes lifted. She smelled like someone. Adrian's chest tightened. Noah continued. Like the warm place I forgot. Adrian's eyes burned. Because children didn't have the words for trauma. They had feelings. And Noah's feelings were telling the truth. Noah looked at Adrian carefully. Do you think she's my mom? Adrian froze. His voice caught in his throat. Noah's eyes were serious. Because when she touched my hair, my head felt quiet. Adrian fought to breathe. He wanted to tell Noah the truth right there. He wanted to pull him into his arms and say, yes. Yes, she is. But Amara's warning echoed in his mind. Not until it's safe. So Adrian forced a gentle lie. I don't know, buddy, he said softly. But I know she cares about you. Noah looked away, disappointed. Then he whispered, I think she's my mom. Adrian's heart broke again. That afternoon, Adrian called his security chief into his office. He watched the man carefully. Strong. Professional. Loyal, at least. He had always believed that. Adrian spoke calmly. I'm upgrading the security protocols. The security chief nodded. About time, sir. After last night. Adrian cut him off gently. No one touches the footage except me. The security chief blinked. Sir. Adrian's voice stayed calm. No one. Not even you. The security chief hesitated. That's unusual. Adrian leaned forward, eyes sharp. Do you have a problem with unusual? The chief swallowed. No, sir. Adrian nodded. Good. Also, I want you to compile a list of every staff member who was here the week Amara disappeared. The security chief's face changed slightly. Just slightly. But Adrian saw it. The chief recovered fast. That was years ago, sir. Adrian smiled faintly. Yes, and I'm in the mood for history. The chief nodded. Understood. When the chief left, Adrian sat back, heart pounding, because that tiny change in the chief's face was either surprise or fear, and Adrian didn't know which was worse. That night, Adrian got a text message from an unknown number. Only 6 words. She's back. Handle it tonight. Adrian's blood ran cold, because the message wasn't asking. It was ordering, and it meant one terrifying thing. Someone had already noticed Amara. Someone already knew. Adrian stood up so fast his chair slid back. He grabbed his phone and called Amara's hidden contact number, the one she gave him in case of emergency. It rang once, twice. Then she answered, breathing hard. Adrian, she whispered. Adrian's voice turned urgent. They know. Amara went silent. Then she whispered, No, 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 no. Adrian clenched his jaw. Where are you right now? Amara's voice shook. Near the back stairs. Adrian's heart slammed. Don't move. Amara whispered. Adrian. I hear footsteps. Adrian's blood turned to ice. Lock yourself in a room, he hissed. Now. Amara's breathing became frantic. Then she whispered the words that shattered Adrian's soul. They're coming for me. Adrian didn't even hang up the phone. He bolted out of his office like the mansion was on fire. His mind wasn't thinking in full sentences anymore, just flashes. They know. They're coming. Amara is alone. Noah is upstairs. Vanessa is in the house. Someone in security is dirty. He ran past a hallway camera and forced himself to slow down just enough to look normal, because the last thing he needed was for the wrong person to see panic on his face. He turned a corner and pressed the phone tighter to his ear. Amara, he whispered. Talk to me. What do you hear? Her breathing came in shallow bursts. 2, maybe 3 people. Not staff. They're moving fast. Where exactly are you? Backstairs, near the linen closet. Adrian's eyes scanned the hallway ahead. Too quiet. Too clean. Too controlled. He kept his voice steady, like he was talking her through a storm. Listen to me. Go inside the linen closet. Now. Lock it from the inside. Amara hesitated. Adrian. Now, he hissed, the word sharp like a blade. Do not argue. Go. A soft shuffle, then a faint click. I'm in, she whispered. Good. Stay silent. Put your phone on mute, but keep the line open. Adrian's heart pounded so hard he felt it in his throat. He moved toward the back stairs, every sense wide awake. As he approached, he heard it. Footsteps. Not the casual steps of staff. These were measured, heavy, purposeful. Adrian pressed himself into a shadowed corner, near a decorative pillar, and waited. Then 3 men appeared at the far end of the hallway. Black clothing, earpieces, gloves. Not his security team. And that was the first confirmation. These weren't there to escort someone out. These were there to erase a problem. Adrian's jaw tightened. He watched them scan the corridor, moving in a tight triangle formation. One of them pointed at the linen closet. Adrian's stomach dropped. They're close. Too close. He tapped the emergency silent alert on his watch, one that only his private line to his most trusted guard would trigger. But he didn't know who to trust anymore. So he did the only thing he could do. He became the threat. Adrian stepped out of the shadow, looking for something. The men froze. The lead man's eyes flicked to Adrian's face. No hesitation. No surprise. Just confirmation. Like he had been expecting Adrian to show up. We're here for the woman, the man said flatly. Adrian smiled without warmth. This is my house. The lead man didn't flinch. Then you know how this works. Hand her over, and your son stays safe. Adrian's blood turned to ice. What did you say? The man repeated it, calm as a banker. Hand her over, and your son stays safe. Adrian's voice dropped into something darker. If you say my son's name again, you won't leave this hallway. The men shifted slightly, hands moving toward their belts, not guns visible, but enough to show danger. Adrian didn't back away, because Adrian Vale was not a man who ran in his own home. The lead man took 1 step forward. You think you can stop this? Adrian's eyes locked on him. I don't think. I know. Then Adrian raised his voice, just enough. Noah. The lead man's eyes widened for half a second. Not because Noah was near, but because Adrian wasn't supposed to mention the boy out loud. Because it meant Adrian wasn't afraid. And when a rich man isn't afraid, it usually means he has leverage. Adrian leaned in slightly, voice low. You're not the first person to threaten my family. The lead man's jaw tightened. This isn't about you. Adrian's smile sharpened. It never is. Until it is. And then, a door at the end of the corridor opened. Vanessa stepped out, wearing silk like she was stepping into a party. Her eyes landed on the men first, then on Adrian. And Adrian watched her face do something terrifying. She didn't look confused. She looked irritated, like her delivery arrived later than expected. Vanessa clasped her hands lightly. Adrian, what's going on? Adrian stared at her, heart pounding, because now everything made sense. The allergy scare, the pressure, the whispers, the timing. Vanessa walked closer, heels tapping like a countdown. "These are visitors?" she asked with a polite smile. The lead man glanced at Vanessa, waiting for permission. Adrian's eyes hardened. "Visitors don't come dressed like that," Adrian said, "or threaten my son." Vanessa gasped softly like she was offended. "Threaten Noah? Adrian, don't be dramatic." Adrian's voice went flat. "Stop acting. You're not good at it." Vanessa's smile stiffened, and the lead man said something that confirmed everything. "Ma'am, we can finish this quickly." "Ma'am." "Not sir." "Not boss." "Ma'am." Adrian felt rage surge so fast it almost blinded him. Vanessa's eyes cut to Adrian. "Cold now. No mask. You really had to dig up old ghosts," she said quietly. Adrian's voice trembled, but not from fear, from fury. "Where is she?" Vanessa tilted her head. "Who?" Adrian stepped closer. "Amara." Vanessa's lips curved. "Dead." Adrian's jaw clenched. "Liar." Vanessa shrugged. "Maybe. But even if she's alive, she should have stayed gone." Adrian's body moved before his mind finished the thought. He grabbed Vanessa's wrist and yanked her forward, hard enough to make her stumble. The three men shifted. Adrian raised his voice, sharp and commanding. "Every camera in this house is recording you right now." Vanessa froze. The lead man froze. Because if that was true, it meant evidence. And evidence was poison to plans like this. Vanessa recovered quickly, eyes narrowing. "You're bluffing." Adrian smiled, slow and cruel. "Am I?" Vanessa's gaze flicked upward, toward a ceiling corner. A camera. Her throat bobbed. Adrian leaned closer to her ear and whispered, "You just gave yourself away." Vanessa hissed through her teeth. "You don't understand what you're messing with." Adrian's eyes turned deadly. "I understand one thing. You touch my family." Vanessa's voice dropped, dangerous. "Then you'll lose everything." Adrian looked past her, straight at the lead man. "Open that linen closet door," Adrian said, voice like steel, "and walk away, or I make sure you never work again anywhere." The lead man smirked. "You're just a man." Adrian nodded slowly. "And you're just a pawn." Then Adrian did something Vanessa didn't expect. He stepped back. He raised his hand slightly, like he was surrendering, and he spoke loudly enough for the hallway microphones to catch every word. "Vanessa Hart, tell them to leave my home." Vanessa's face tightened, because now she had a choice. Give the order and reveal authority, or refuse and reveal guilt. Vanessa forced a smile. "Adrian, you're being ridiculous." Adrian didn't blink. "Tell them to leave." Vanessa's gaze flicked to the men, then back to Adrian. She said it softly, almost like she hated saying it. "Not yet." Adrian exhaled slowly. And then, a calm, firm voice came from behind him. "Get away from my father." Adrian spun. Noah stood at the top of the stairs in his pajamas, eyes wide, breathing steady, but scared. Adrian's heart dropped. "Noah," he snapped, "go back to your room." Noah didn't move. His gaze slid from Adrian to Vanessa, to the three men, then to the linen closet. Noah's little voice trembled. "Why are there strangers here?" Vanessa's face softened instantly into fake warmth. "Sweetheart, it's okay." Noah flinched away from her voice. Adrian saw it. Vanessa saw it too. And Vanessa's eyes hardened for half a second. Pure anger at being rejected by a child. Adrian moved toward Noah. "Come to me. Now." Noah started down the stairs. The lead man took one step toward Noah. Adrian snapped, "Don't." The man stopped, but his eyes stayed locked on the boy. And Noah. Noah suddenly pointed at the linen closet. His voice came out small, but certain. "She's in there." Adrian froze. Vanessa froze. The men froze. Adrian's eyes widened. "Noah." Noah swallowed, voice shaking. "I heard her before. She was crying." Adrian's heart shattered. Amara's voice, faint through the phone line, whispered, "Noah." Noah's head snapped toward the closet, like he heard something no one else did. His eyes filled with tears. Then he whispered the one word Adrian had been dreading. Mom. Vanessa's face changed so fast it was terrifying. Not surprise. Not sadness. Pure alarm. Because now the truth was stepping into daylight. Vanessa's voice snapped, sharp and cold. Open the door. The lead man moved. Adrian surged forward. But before Adrian could reach him, the linen closet door flew open from the inside. Amara stepped out. Not Lena. Amara. Hair slightly messy. Eyes wet. Face steady. She looked at Noah like he was the sun after 7 years of darkness. Noah stumbled forward like his body remembered her before his mind could catch up. Amara dropped to her knees. Noah ran into her arms. And in that moment, the world went quiet. Noah clung to her like he had been waiting his whole life. Amara held him like she was afraid the air would steal him again. Noah sobbed. You're real, you're real. Amara whispered, voice cracking. I'm here. I'm here. I'm not leaving again. Adrian's eyes burned. His hands shook. Because this was the reunion he had prayed for. And it was happening in the middle of a war. Vanessa's voice cut through the emotion like a knife. Touching, she said. Now separate them. The men moved. Adrian stepped in front of Amara and Noah. Over my dead body, Adrian said. Vanessa smiled coldly. That can be arranged. Adrian's stomach dropped. But then, a loud siren blared. The mansion lights flashed red. All the hallway doors slammed shut automatically. Adrian's voice rang out, calm and deadly. Lockdown protocol. The 3 men looked around, suddenly trapped. Vanessa's eyes widened. Adrian stared at her. You thought I only had cameras? I have cages. Vanessa's lips parted in fury. You. Adrian cut her off. Security teams from my external company are arriving in 60 seconds. The kind you don't own. The lead man cursed under his breath. Vanessa's face twisted. You're making a mistake. Adrian's eyes narrowed. The only mistake I made was letting you into my house. Amara held Noah close, trembling. Noah stared at Vanessa with fear now. Vanessa's smile returned, but it was empty. She leaned in toward Adrian, voice low. You can lock doors, she whispered, but you can't lock consequences. Adrian stared back. Try me. Then heavy boots thundered from the far stairwell. A new security team, Adrian's real team, stormed the hallway with restraint gear and body cams. The 3 men raised their hands. Vanessa stiffened. Adrian turned to his captain. Detain them. And detain her. Vanessa's voice rose, sharp and furious. You can't detain me. Adrian's gaze didn't move. Watch me. Vanessa's eyes flashed, and she threw one last look at Amara, pure hatred. Then she did something that made Adrian's skin crawl. She smiled. Fine, she said softly. But when you open that door to the past, Adrian, it opens back. Adrian didn't respond, because he was looking at Noah. Noah was still holding Amara like she was oxygen. Noah looked up at Adrian, eyes wet. Dad, he whispered. Why didn't you tell me? Adrian's throat closed. Amara looked up at Adrian too. And for the first time in years, Adrian saw it clearly. This wasn't just about catching Vanessa. This was about fixing what the past destroyed. But before Adrian could speak, one of his new guards rushed in urgent. Sir, the guard said, we found something. Adrian's eyes narrowed. What? The guard swallowed. A second phone, hidden in the West Wing. It's transmitting right now. Adrian's blood ran cold. Amara's earlier warning echoed. Someone inside your security team. Adrian's voice dropped. Transmitting to who? The guard hesitated. Then he said the words that made the hallway feel like ice. Unknown receiver, but the signal is bouncing through a private network. Adrian's jaw tightened, because that meant Vanessa wasn't working alone. And if someone in his own system was feeding information out, then even this victory could be a trap. Adrian looked down at Amara and Noah, still locked together. He whispered, barely audible, we're not safe yet. Amara's eyes widened. Noah clung tighter. And somewhere in the mansion, hidden in the walls of Adrian Vale's perfect security system, a traitor was still watching. Adrian didn't let anyone touch Noah. Not even the guards. He lifted his son into his arms like Noah was made of glass and carried him, and Amara, into the safest room in the house. Not the panic room. Not yet. The library. Because the library was the one place Adrian never fully connected to the security network. No smart locks. No automated shutters. No remote microphones. Just wood, books, and old-school keys. Adrian shut the heavy door behind them and turned the lock manually. Then he looked at Amara and Noah, still holding each other like the world might try to steal them again. Noah's cheeks were wet. Amara's hands were still trembling. Adrian's voice came out low and urgent. "Listen to me. Whatever happens next, you stay in this room. Do you understand?" Noah nodded quickly, frightened. Amara's eyes narrowed. "Adrian, what's going on?" Adrian swallowed. "Someone in my system is still transmitting information out of this house." Amara's face tightened. "I told you." Adrian looked at her, guilt flickering across his eyes. "You did." Noah's small voice shook. "Are they coming back?" Amara pulled Noah closer. "No one is taking you." "Not again." Adrian's jaw clenched. "Noah, I need you to be brave right now. If anyone knocks, don't open the door. Not even if they say they're security." Noah's eyes widened. "But," Adrian crouched to Noah's level. "Only if I give you the safe word." Noah sniffed. "What's the safe word?" Adrian hesitated, then said the first word that came from his heart. "Sunrise." Amara's eyes softened for half a second. Noah nodded seriously, like he understood the weight of that word. Adrian stood and faced Amara. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I need to find the traitor." Amara nodded. "And I need to get my proof." Adrian's eyes sharpened. "The storage unit." Amara swallowed. "Yes." Adrian took a breath, trying to control the storm inside him. "We'll do both. But we do it smart. We do it quiet." Amara's gaze flicked to the door. "Vanessa won't stay quiet." Adrian's mouth tightened. "No. She'll strike back." And Adrian knew something else too. Vanessa had just lost control of the hallway. But she still had control of something far more dangerous. People. Downstairs, in the grand foyer, Vanessa stood with her back straight and her chin lifted, like a queen who refused to look defeated. 2 guards stood on either side of her. But Vanessa wasn't shaking. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. Instead, she smiled like she was already 10 steps ahead. Adrian's security captain approached her carefully. "Miss Hart, you're being detained pending police arrival." Vanessa tilted her head. "Police?" The captain nodded. "Yes." Vanessa gave a small laugh. "And what will you tell them?" The captain's jaw tightened. "That you brought intruders into this home." Vanessa's smile deepened. "Intruders? That's cute." She turned her head slightly, eyes gliding across the foyer cameras. Then she spoke loudly, clearly, like she was making sure every microphone captured it. "I came here because I heard Noah had a medical emergency," she said, sweet as honey. "I found Adrian in a disturbed state, threatening innocent men who work for my family's private protection service." The captain frowned. "That's not what happened." Vanessa sighed dramatically. "Then I hope you have evidence." The captain's face tightened, because Vanessa knew exactly what she was doing. She was planting a story. A clean story. A story that made Adrian look unstable. Vanessa leaned toward the captain, voice lower now. "You have no idea who you're working for," she whispered. Then she lifted her voice again, performing. "I'm also concerned," Vanessa said, "that Adrian's former wife may be in the house." The captain blinked. "Former wife?" Vanessa nodded, eyes wide with fake concern. "Yes. A woman who vanished years ago. A woman who may be unwell. Adrian has been obsessed. I've tried to support him." The captain's expression changed, because even a strong man could be shaken by the words obsessed and unwell. Vanessa continued, voice syrupy. "If he's hiding her, if he's been keeping a vulnerable woman here, the authorities need to know." The captain's stomach tightened. Vanessa's smile turned colder. "Do you understand what I'm saying?" The captain didn't answer. Vanessa nodded as if he did. Then she said softly, "Good boy." And in that moment, Adrian's captain realized something terrifying. Vanessa wasn't afraid of being detained. She was using it. A guard ran up to Adrian's security room, holding a small device sealed in an evidence bag. A second phone, the guard said, found behind a vent in the West Wing. Adrian stared at it like it was a snake. He didn't touch it. He didn't need to. He already knew what it meant. Someone had been operating inside his home under his nose. Adrian looked at his tech specialist. "Can you trace where it's sending data?" The specialist nodded, fingers flying across a laptop. "It's bouncing through a private network," the specialist said. "But I can see the pattern. Whoever set it up knew your system. They're piggybacking your camera network." Adrian's jaw clenched. "Can you isolate it?" The specialist hesitated. "Yes, but if I cut it off, the receiver will know we found it." Adrian's eyes narrowed. Then he said, "Let it keep talking." The specialist blinked. "Sir," Adrian's voice was calm, deadly. "If we cut the line, we lose the trail. If we keep it alive, we follow it." The specialist nodded slowly. "Understood." Adrian turned to his captain. "Everyone stays on manual locks. No remote access. No smart anything. And I want a list of every person who had access to the West Wing in the last month." The captain nodded. "Yes, sir." Adrian's eyes stayed sharp. Because the traitor wasn't just a name on paper. It was someone who knew him. Someone who stood close enough to hear the truth, and still chose to sell it. Back in the library, Noah was calmer now, still scared, but calmer because Amara's arms were around him. Noah traced Amara's fingers, like he was memorizing them. "Where did you go?" he whispered. Amara's throat tightened. "Far." Noah frowned. "Why didn't you call?" Amara's eyes watered again. "I tried." Noah looked up at her. "Did you miss me?" Amara gave a shaky laugh, pressing her forehead to his. "I missed you so much it hurt." Noah sniffed. "I missed you too, but I didn't know who I missed." Amara closed her eyes. And Adrian, standing a few steps away, felt something inside him split open, because Noah had carried that absence like a silent wound. Adrian took a breath. "Noah, do you remember anything from when you were a baby?" Noah tilted his head. "Not really." Amara stiffened, eyes darting to Adrian. Adrian softened his voice. "Anything at all. A sound. A smell." Noah thought hard, little brow wrinkling. "I remember song." Amara froze. Noah continued, eyes distant like he was looking at something behind his eyes. "A humming," he whispered. "And someone saying, 'Sunrise, my little lion.'" Amara's breath caught. Adrian went still. Noah looked at Amara and whispered, "That was you, wasn't it?" Amara's lips trembled. "Yes." Noah nodded like a puzzle piece clicked into place. Then he whispered the sentence that broke Adrian completely. "I knew you when I didn't know you." Amara hugged him tighter. Adrian turned away for half a second, just to swallow the emotion rising in his throat. Then he faced Amara again, voice steady, urgent. "We need proof," Adrian said. "And we need it before Vanessa turns this into a story where I'm the villain." Amara nodded. "Then we go to the storage unit tonight." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Tonight is risky." Amara's gaze hardened. "Tomorrow might be too late." Adrian inhaled sharply. Because she was right. Vanessa would move fast. If Vanessa controlled the narrative first, truth would have to fight uphill. And truth always loses when it's late. Adrian gathered only 3 people he trusted enough to bet his life on. His tech specialist. A quiet private guard from an outside firm, not part of the mansion team. His driver. An old man who had served Adrian's family for decades. No internal mansion security. No familiar faces. Adrian had learned his lesson. He left Noah with Amara in the library, and he repeated the rule. "Sunrise." Noah nodded seriously. Amara looked at Adrian. "Be careful." Adrian's voice softened. "I'm not leaving you again." Amara's eyes flickered with pain, but she nodded. Adrian turned to leave, then paused. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pendant, gold, worn familiar. Amara's breath caught. Adrian held it out. "I kept it." Amara's fingers shook as she touched it. "You kept this." Adrian's voice was low. "It was all I had left." Amara swallowed hard. Don't lose it. Adrian nodded. Then he left. The city at night felt colder than usual. Street lights reflected off wet pavement. Cars moved like silent shadows. Adrian's SUV rolled into a storage facility outside the city, the kind of place that didn't ask questions as long as you paid. Amara had given him the unit number and a code. Adrian typed the code into the keypad. The metal door clicked. He lifted it. Cold air rushed out, carrying the smell of dust and old paper. Inside were boxes stacked neatly, like someone had tried to keep their life organized even while hiding. Adrian stepped in with the guard and tech specialist. His flashlight beam swept across labels. Medical. Photos. Legal. Noah. Adrian's throat tightened. He opened the Noah box first. Inside were tiny socks, a baby blanket, a hospital bracelet, and a worn stuffed lion. Adrian's breath caught. He remembered that lion. Noah had clutched it as a baby. Then it had disappeared. Adrian looked up sharply. They took things from my house. Amara's voice echoed in his head. They made me disappear. They erased me. Adrian forced himself to focus. The tech specialist opened the legal box. Inside was a hard drive sealed in plastic, a small recorder, and a folder labeled Hart Family. Adrian's jaw tightened. Vanessa, Adrian muttered. The tech specialist plugged the hard drive into a laptop. Files appeared instantly. Video clips, audio recordings, screenshots of messages. Adrian leaned closer. The first video was grainy, but clear enough to see. A young Vanessa, years ago, standing beside a man in a suit. The man spoke. We can't control Vale if she's still there. Vanessa replied, voice sharp. Then remove her. Adrian's blood turned to ice. The tech specialist froze too. Sir. Adrian didn't answer. Because he couldn't. His mind was replaying one line. Then remove her. Adrian's hands shook as he clicked the next file. An audio recording. Amar's voice, younger, frightened. Please, please don't hurt my baby. A man's voice responded, low and cruel. Then you'll do exactly what we say. Adrian's stomach twisted. He clenched his fist. Then he clicked another file. A screenshot of a bank transfer. From a company tied to the Hart family. To someone named Daniel Cross. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Daniel Cross. He recognized the name. Daniel Cross was his head of security at the time Amara vanished. And the same name appeared again in recent transfers. Adrian's breath left his body, because now the pieces locked together with a sickening click. Vanessa wasn't new to this, and the traitor wasn't just someone in security. It was the one man who had built Adrian's entire security world. Adrian whispered, voice deadly, Daniel. At that exact moment, back at the mansion, Vanessa sat in a private waiting room, calm as ever. A police officer stood nearby, listening. Vanessa's voice was soft and emotional now, perfect. I'm truly worried about him, she said. Adrian hasn't been stable since Amara vanished. He thinks she's alive. He's been spiraling. The officer frowned. Spiraling how? Vanessa sighed. Paranoia. Cameras everywhere. Testing staff. Threatening people. Tonight he detained men who were simply trying to protect me. The officer nodded slowly. Vanessa leaned in. And I believe he may have brought a woman into the house pretending she's Amara. The officer's brows lifted. Pretending. Vanessa nodded, eyes shining with fake tears. Yes. I think he hired someone to play her, to calm himself. The officer frowned, concerned now. Where's Mr. Vale? Vanessa shrugged. He left the house. In a rush. Unstable. The officer turned to another officer. We need to locate him. Vanessa dabbed her eyes delicately. But the moment the officers turned away, Vanessa's tears vanished. She picked up her phone and sent one short message. Activate Cross. Evidence must disappear. Adrian was still staring at the screen, showing Daniel Cross's name. His guard shifted uneasily. Sir, we should leave. Now. Adrian nodded, snapping out of it. He grabbed the hard drive, the recorder, the folder, everything. We're done, he said. They rushed out of the storage unit. Adrian's driver had the engine running. They jumped inside. As the SUV pulled away, Adrian's phone buzzed. A call from his tech specialist back at the mansion. Adrian answered. Talk. The voice on the other end was panicked. Sir, Daniel Cross is inside your network right now. Adrian's grip tightened. How? He just initiated a remote wipe command. He's trying to erase camera footage. He's overriding locks. Adrian's blood ran cold. Noah and Amara are in the library. I know, sir, the specialist said. But Cross just triggered a system reset. Doors are unlocking. Cameras are looping. We're blind for 60 seconds. Adrian's heart slammed. Send guards to the library, Adrian snapped. The specialist's voice cracked. Sir, the internal guards are compromised. I don't know who's safe. Adrian's voice turned deadly calm. Then I'm coming. He looked out at the road ahead, eyes burning. Because now it wasn't just about proving Vanessa guilty. It was about beating Daniel Cross back to the one place he still couldn't fully control. The library door that was locked by hand. Adrian whispered to himself, fierce. Hold on. And at the mansion, somewhere in the dark corridors, someone was moving toward that library. Someone who knew exactly how to break Adrian Vale. The tire screamed when Adrian's driver took the next turn too hard. Adrian didn't flinch. He couldn't. His mind was already back in the mansion, back at the library door, the one place he prayed Daniel Cross couldn't reach in time. He gripped the hard drive in his lap, like it was Noah's heartbeat. Faster, Adrian said, voice tight. The driver didn't answer. He just drove like the road owed him money. Adrian's phone buzzed again, his tech specialist. Adrian answered instantly. Update. The specialist sounded like he was running. Sir, the system reset is almost complete. Cameras are looping. Cross has admin-level access. Adrian's jaw clenched. Where is Cross physically? A pause. Then, we don't know. But his badge pinged in the East Corridor 2 minutes ago. Adrian's stomach dropped. East Corridor was closer to the library than the main foyer. Adrian's voice went cold. He's going to the library. The specialist whispered. Yes, sir. Adrian closed his eyes for 1 second. Not because he was giving up. Because he was praying his son remembered one word. Sunrise. Amara kept Noah close, sitting on the carpet with his back against her chest like she was a shield. Noah's breathing was shaky again, but not from allergies, fear. He kept glancing at the door like it might grow teeth. Amara whispered into his hair. Look at me. Noah turned slightly. Amara forced her voice to stay gentle, even though her own heart was sprinting. What's the safe word? Noah swallowed. Sunrise. Amara nodded. Good. If anyone knocks, you don't open. If anyone says anything, you don't answer. The only thing you listen for is the safe word. Noah nodded hard, trying to be brave. Then he whispered, Mom. Amara's throat tightened, but she answered softly, Yes, my little lion. Noah's eyes widened. That's what I remembered. Amara kissed the side of his forehead. Because it's ours. Noah's voice shook. Are they going to take you again? Amara's eyes burned. Not this time, she said. And she meant it. The knock that didn't sound like staff. The library door rattled. Not a polite knock. Not a gentle tap. A hard push. Then silence. Noah stiffened instantly. Amara's arms tightened around him. The handle moved slightly. A pause. Then a voice came through the thick wood, calm, confident, familiar in the worst way. Mr. Vale asked me to check on you. Amara's blood ran cold. She recognized that voice. Daniel Cross. Noah whispered. Who is that? Amara lowered her voice to barely air. No one. The handle twisted again. Daniel's voice stayed smooth. Open the door. It's safe now. Noah looked up at Amara, eyes wide. Amara whispered. Do you hear the safe word? Noah shook his head. Then we don't move. Amara whispered. The door shook again. Harder this time. Daniel Cross wasn't asking anymore. He was testing the door. The old lock held barely. Then Daniel's voice changed, becoming softer, trickier. Noah, he called. It's okay. Your dad told me to bring you downstairs. Noah flinched. Because it sounded believable. Amara felt Noah's body lean forward a little, just a little, like a child drawn to any promise of safety. Amara tightened her hold and whispered urgently, "Noah, look at me." Noah's eyes met hers. Amara said, "Safe word." Noah whispered, "Sunrise." Amara nodded. "Good. Only sunrise." The handle twisted again. Then quiet. A new sound. Metal scraping. Noah's eyes widened. What is he doing? Amara's mind raced. Daniel wasn't trying to smash the door. That would be loud. That would get attention. He was trying to bypass it. Because Daniel built this house's security before Adrian upgraded anything. Meaning Daniel knew the old tricks. Amara stood slowly, keeping Noah behind her. She scanned the library fast. Books. Shelves. Lamps. Heavy furniture. Then she saw it, an antique display cabinet with a thick wooden base. Amara moved quickly, quietly, dragging it in front of the door. Noah helped, hands trembling. The cabinet slid into place with a deep, heavy thud. The door handle moved again, then stopped, because now Daniel had a new problem, and Amara knew something else. Daniel didn't come alone. He never did. Daniel Cross stared at the blocked door like it had insulted him. His earpiece crackled with a voice that made his jaw tighten. "Vanessa, are you in?" she asked sharp. Daniel's voice stayed calm. "Not yet." Vanessa hissed. "Then get in. Adrian is coming back with something. I can feel it." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "The boy is inside." Vanessa's voice turned cold. "The boy is leverage. The woman is the threat. Fix it." Daniel's jaw clenched. He hated being ordered, but he hated losing more. He signaled to the man behind him, one of the remaining hired intruders. "Go around," Daniel whispered. "Find another entry. Window. Vent. Anything." The man nodded and moved. Daniel leaned close to the door and spoke again, this time using a different weapon. "Emotion." "Amara," he said softly. Silence. Daniel smiled faintly. "You're still alive." "Impressive." Amara stayed quiet. Daniel continued, voice like poison wrapped in silk. "You can't protect him forever. They'll always find you." No answer. Daniel's smile faded. His voice turned harder. "Open the door." Nothing. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Fine." And then Daniel did the one thing that made Amara's heart drop. He spoke the safe word. "Sunrise." Noah gasped behind Amara. Amara's blood turned to ice. Because Daniel didn't guess that word. He knew it. Which meant someone had heard Adrian say it. Someone had fed it out. Someone inside the house was still leaking. Noah whispered, confused and hopeful. He said it. Amara snapped softly. "Noah, don't move." Noah trembled. But Amara's voice sharpened just enough to cut through fear. "Noah, that is not your father." Noah froze. The door handle twisted again. Daniel's voice came through steady. "Open. Now." Amara's mind ran fast. If Noah believed that safe word, the door would open. And if the door opened, Amara didn't want to imagine what Daniel would do. Not because she pictured something gruesome, but because she knew what people like Daniel did best. They didn't need blood. They needed control. Amara pressed Noah behind her and yelled, loud enough to shake the library walls. "Adrian, Sunrise has been compromised." For a second, everything went silent. Even Daniel froze. Because that sentence was a bomb. It meant the safe word was no longer safe. It meant Daniel's advantage just died in the open. And it meant Amara was no longer hiding. She was fighting. The moment Adrian's SUV screeched into the driveway, he was out of the car before the engine even fully stopped. He ran. Not like a billionaire. Like a father. His outside guard team rushed behind him. Adrian stormed through the front doors and shouted, "Library!" His captain's voice came through the hallway, frantic. "Sir, Cross is unaccounted for." Adrian didn't slow down. Then he heard it, Amara's voice, muffled but loud, from down the corridor. "Sunrise has been compromised." Adrian's chest tightened. He sprinted harder. He rounded the corner and saw Daniel Cross at the library door. Daniel turned calmly, not startled at all, like he'd been waiting. Adrian's voice came out like thunder. "Step away from that door." Daniel spread his hand slightly. "Mr. Vale, you're emotional." Adrian's eyes burned. You're in my house. At my son's door. After you wiped my cameras. Daniel sighed. I didn't wipe them. I looped them. There's a difference. Adrian stared at him, rage boiling. You took my wife, Adrian said, voice shaking. You helped her disappear. You lied. For years. Daniel's face stayed flat. I did my job. Adrian's voice turned deadly calm. Your job for who? Daniel hesitated, just a fraction. Adrian smiled without warmth. Vanessa. Daniel's jaw tightened. Adrian held up the hard drive. I have the storage unit evidence. Your transfers. Your recordings. Your orders. For the first time, Daniel's eyes sharpened with real concern. Adrian took one step closer. It's over. Daniel's expression shifted, smooth again. No, Daniel said softly. It's just starting. Then Daniel did something bold and disgusting. He smiled and called out toward the door. Noah, he said, loud enough to be heard inside. Your father is lying. Adrian snapped. Don't you say his name. Daniel didn't blink. You think you can rewrite the past with a hard drive? Adrian raised his voice, loud and clear. Noah, do not open that door. It's me. I'm here. A tiny voice came from inside, shaky but strong. Dad. Adrian's throat tightened. Yes, buddy. It's me. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Adrian continued, loud enough for Amara too. Amara, hold on. I'm getting you out. Amara's voice came faintly. We're here. Daniel's jaw clenched. Then he moved fast, toward Adrian, not attacking wildly, trying to grab the hard drive. Adrian jerked back. His outside guards reacted instantly, grabbing Daniel's arms and forcing him away from Adrian. Daniel struggled, but not like a desperate man, like a man buying time. Adrian shouted, check the west wing and all exits. He's not alone. A guard sprinted off. Daniel's eyes flicked down the hallway. Adrian saw it. Daniel was waiting for something. Or someone. A crash echoed from the far side of the library. Glass. Noah screamed inside. Amara shouted, Noah back. Adrian's head snapped toward the library's side window. Daniel's smile returned. Too late, Daniel murmured. Adrian's blood turned to fire. Go. Adrian barked to his guards. 2 guards rushed around the corner, toward the library windows. Adrian stayed with Daniel, eyes locked. You tried the door, Adrian said, voice shaking. So you sent someone through the window. Daniel shrugged like it was nothing. Efficiency. Adrian leaned in close. You won't touch my son. Daniel's eyes turned cold. Your son is the reason you're weak. Adrian's voice dropped. My son is the reason I'll destroy you. Daniel laughed softly. You're already destroyed. You just don't know it yet. Adrian tightened his grip on the hard drive. Then his radio crackled. Perp at the library window intercepted. No contact with the child. Adrian exhaled sharply, relief slicing through panic. Daniel's jaw tightened, because that move failed, which meant Daniel had one option left. Run. But Adrian wasn't letting him. Adrian rushed to the library door. His guard moved the cabinet from the inside, Amara's hands visible through the crack as she pushed. The door opened. Noah ran out first, straight into Adrian's arms. Adrian dropped to his knees and held him so tight Noah squeaked. I've got you, Adrian whispered. I've got you. Noah cried into Adrian's shoulder. He said sunrise. Adrian's chest tightened. I know, Adrian whispered, voice breaking. You did good. You stayed put. Then Adrian looked up. Amara stepped out. For a second, the hallway didn't exist. The guards didn't exist. Daniel didn't exist. It was just Adrian and Amara, standing in front of each other with 7 stolen years between them. Adrian's voice came out rough. I'm sorry. Amara's eyes shone. Later. Adrian nodded, because she was right. Later. Now was survival. Now was justice. Adrian stood, Noah still in his arms, and faced Daniel. Daniel was restrained now. 2 guards holding him. Adrian lifted the hard drive slightly. You're finished. Daniel's voice stayed calm. You think police will save you? Adrian's eyes narrowed. Police don't have to save me. They just have to arrest you. Daniel smiled. And Vanessa? Adrian's face turned stone. She's next. Daniel chuckled. You don't understand Vanessa. Adrian's voice went colder. Oh, I understand her perfectly now. Adrian turned to his captain. Get officers here now. Not the local ones Vanessa can charm. Federal contacts. Clean chain. The captain nodded and moved. Adrian looked back at Daniel. And when they arrive, you will tell them everything. Daniel's eyes sharpened. Or what? Adrian leaned closer. Or I play the recordings. I release the files. I destroy every safe place you think you have. Daniel's jaw clenched. Because Daniel understood one thing. Evidence didn't need a gun. Evidence was a weapon that fired forever. Vanessa didn't collapse like in movies. She didn't fall to her knees screaming. She stayed upright. Because people like Vanessa didn't break loudly. They broke quietly. And tried to take everyone down with them. When the police arrived and Adrian walked into the foyer with Noah and Amara beside him, Vanessa's eyes locked on Amara like she was seeing a ghost she failed to bury. Vanessa's voice stayed smooth. Adrian, this is insanity. Adrian held Noah tighter. Insanity is what you did. Vanessa smiled sadly at the officers. Gentlemen, I'm glad you're here. Adrian needs help. Adrian didn't even look at her. He handed the officer a sealed evidence pack. Hard drive. Recordings. Screenshots of transfers. Proof of coordination between Vanessa Hart and Daniel Cross, including historical evidence tied to Amara Vale's disappearance. Vanessa's smile twitched. Just a little. The officer glanced at the evidence, then back at Vanessa. Miss Hart, we need you to come with us. Vanessa laughed softly. On what grounds? Adrian looked her dead in the eye for the first time that night. On the grounds that my wife is alive, Adrian said, voice hard. And she's going to tell them what you did. Vanessa's eyes flicked to Amara. Amara stepped forward, voice steady. I didn't leave, Amara said. I was taken. And you helped. Vanessa's smile disappeared. Her voice turned sharp. Prove it. Adrian nodded once. Gladly. Adrian didn't want this to be a dramatic TV test. He wanted it to be final. So he brought a private medical team, neutral, documented, witnessed. A cheek swab from Noah. A cheek swab from Amara. A chain of custody kit. The kind that couldn't be argued away. Noah watched quietly, still holding Amara's hand like he was afraid she'd fade. Vanessa sat across the room with her legs crossed, pretending she wasn't nervous. But her fingers tapped her knee. Fast. The results came sooner than anyone expected, because Adrian paid for the fastest lab and had the right connections. The doctor walked in with a sealed envelope. Mr. Vale, the doctor said carefully. The results confirm eternity. Noah's eyes widened. Amara's breath caught. Adrian's throat tightened so hard he thought he might choke. The doctor continued, calm and professional. Amara Vale is Noah Vale's biological mother. Noah stared at Amara like his entire world just got its missing piece back. He whispered, You're really my mom. Amara's tears finally fell. Yes, she whispered. I'm your mom. Noah threw his arms around her and cried, big, messy, relieved sobs. Vanessa's face changed. For the first time, she looked cornered. Because DNA didn't care about lies. DNA didn't care about charm. DNA didn't care about expensive lawyers. Vanessa's voice came out sharp. This proves nothing about me. Adrian looked at her calm. It proves everything, Adrian said. Then he handed the officer the recordings. The officer played the clip on a secure device. Vanessa's younger voice filled the room. Then remove her. Vanessa's mouth opened. No sound came out. The officer's eyes hardened. Then another recording played, Amara's terrified voice. The man threatening her. Then the transfer logs, payments tied to heart-linked entities, with Daniel Cross's name. Vanessa stood abruptly. You don't understand, she began. But the officer cut her off. Ms. Hart, you are under arrest. Vanessa's eyes snapped to Adrian, pure hate. This ends you, she hissed. You think the public will forgive you? You lost her once. You'll lose everything. Adrian stepped closer, voice steady. I don't care about the public. Adrian said. I care about my son, and the woman you tried to erase. Vanessa's expression twisted. As officers moved toward her, Vanessa tried one last weapon poison. She looked at Noah and said sweetly, Poor boy, confused by strangers. Noah lifted his head from Amara's shoulder. He stared at Vanessa with a calm that didn't belong to a child. Then he said quietly, I know my mom. Vanessa froze, because in that moment, she realized the thing she could never buy. A child's truth. The officers led her away, and Vanessa's heels didn't sound like power anymore. They sounded like consequences. The next morning, sunlight spilled into the kitchen like it had never heard of darkness. Noah sat at the table eating slowly. Amara stood by the stove, making pancakes, simple ones, nothing fancy, because the point wasn't wealth. The point was normal. Adrian leaned against the counter, watching them like he didn't trust happiness to stay. Noah looked up suddenly. Mom. Amara turned instantly. Yes. Noah hesitated. Will you leave again? Amara's face softened. She walked over, knelt beside him, and held his hands. No, she said firmly. I'm not leaving again. Noah blinked, fighting tears. Promise. Amara nodded. Promise. Noah looked at Adrian next. Dad. Adrian swallowed. Yes, buddy. Noah's voice was small but serious. No more secrets. Adrian's eyes burned. He nodded. No more secrets. Amara stood and looked at Adrian. For a second, the air became heavy with everything they never said. Adrian whispered, I failed you. Amara stared at him, pain in her eyes, but also something else. Truth. You did, she said softly. Adrian flinched. Amara continued, but you're here now. Adrian nodded, voice breaking. I'm here. Amara's gaze stayed on him for a long moment. Then she said quietly, You don't get a fairy tale, Adrian. You get a chance. Adrian breathed out. A chance is enough, he whispered. Amara nodded once. Then she turned back to Noah, smiling through tears. Pancakes, my little lion? Noah smiled, an actual smile. Yes. Adrian watched them, and for the first time in years, he believed something simple. The past can steal a lot, but it can't steal everything. Not if you fight for what's still alive. And that's the kind of truth money can't buy. Only time can steal. So tell me this in the comments. If you were Adrian, would you forgive, or would you never trust again? If you enjoyed this story, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next one is even hotter.